Hey everyone, it's Tammy. Thank you very, very much for joining me. I wanted to talk a little bit, I'm sorry, just making some adjustments there. Wanted to speak a little bit to being empathic and anxiety. To me, they kind of go hand in hand. The reason I see that being the case is because although being an empath is in some regards accepted. I hesitate to use the word celebrated. It is definitely recognized. Okay, it's definitely recognized, but I don't know that it's actually celebrated. And so what I'm here to do right now is to celebrate that. So before I go any further, if this is your first time watching a video of mine, thank you. If you've been with me for a while, thank you. Um, I am just there's been an evolution in my work. Just to kind of clarify some things here, I have a background in pharmacology. I have a background in aromatherapy. The science of nutrition as it relates to macro and micronutrients. Um, the oils and the nutrients actually work hand in hand. This is the premise of my work. I do also have extensive education in epigenetics. So I kind of bring all of that together. And at the same time, I'm also a student of philosophy and world views, belief systems, and of course, just like everybody else, have developed my own way of seeing because we each have our own unique perspective. It's like life is a multifaceted gemstone, and each one of us has our own little window into what's going on. And this is mine. This is what I'm sharing with you. And like I said, so today I wanted to speak to anxiety and being empathic in the sense that even though being empathic is recognized, I don't feel like it's celebrated to the degree that it should be, which also includes anxiety. I believe anxiety has a lot to do with being empathic. And so I'm here to kind of share a little bit of insight into why I see this happening. Um, and yeah, hopefully just maybe make some sense, shed some light, maybe make some sense for you, and which might actually help you make some distinctions on what the next step is for you. So, on that note, um, obviously being empathic is being highly sensitive to the world. We have the ability to sense other people's energy. We sense energy, basically. Other people's, whether they're close to us, sometimes globally, depending on the magnitude of the issue. Mass shootings, we kind of tap into that. So it's not impossible. We feel the vibe, okay, so to speak. And so that brings me to the point that essentially being empathic is the body aligning with the natural energies around it. That's what nature does. All right. I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you approach a plant, the plant's chemistry changes in response to your chemistry. If two people were to approach the same plant at different intervals, the chemistry of that plant is going to change depending on the individual. Our bodies are actually doing the same thing to the world. I've talked about this a lot when I say, what's reacting to the chemicals, and it's always kind of coming from the perspective that there's something wrong. And I don't believe there's anything wrong. I get that there's disease, there's discomfort, there are disorders, right? That's all lack of ease, lack of comfort, lack of order. But that is all in relation to how we are interpreting it. Please let that sink in for a minute. It's how we are interpreting it, as if there's something wrong, there's a judgment involved. And I'm saying that there's nothing wrong. We may not like the result of our body and the way it's reacting to the environment, okay, the way it's aligning with the energy around it, because that's all it's doing. But if we can accept the fact that that's all it's doing, it's aligning, pardon, I don't know what that was, but I just didn't want to swallow it. But if we can accept the fact that it's aligning with the energy flowing through it, around it, we are aligning with the energy of the universe. We are aligning with the energy of consciousness. If we can accept that, first and foremost, we can begin to find some degree of comfort in our skin. And again, like I said, this is where I feel like a lot of depression and anxiety comes in, because we don't know how to interpret this. We feel different. We feel strange. We feel like something's wrong with us because we're so sensitive. There's nothing wrong. The first thing we need to do is stop the judgment. And that is one of the hardest things to do, is to not be hard on ourselves, because truthfully, we live in a world of judgment. Everybody's gauging what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, what shouldn't be. But how can we talk about nature like that when nature is in constant motion and our body is part of nature? So the idea here is being empathic, having hypersensitivity, high sensitivity to the world, to the individuals, being, empaths tend to be more prone to, it's it's claimed that empaths are prone to more migraines, more unexplained physical discomforts. I'm going to say this. Like I said, it's an alignment with, it's all it is our body aligning with the way nature is flowing. So that means we might have an overactive immune system. That means we may end up with autoimmune disorders. It means a lot, how the way how it's going to physically manifest. Okay, so being empathic isn't necessarily, just like bubbles and bows. It does, being highly sensitive to the world, which we are, stems from the way our body is reacting to the chemistry, the information coming in, the way it's aligning with all of that. And it does lead to different chemistry happening in our system, which can ultimately turn into some form of health issue. But it doesn't make it bad. It makes it just a natural alignment. And we have the capability to work with that. This is where histamine intolerance comes from. This is where fatigue comes from. This is just, again, the body adapting, the body aligning. I prefer that word at this point. We're aligning with nature. And although we may not like the results, we have the capability, we have this awareness. Because this is what is right now. And this is our existence. And the more we, it's no longer necessary to resist. It's time to celebrate. It's time to acknowledge the fact that we are alive, and this is how nature is flowing. Okay, we are simply in the flow. The more we resist that flow, and this is going to get kind of funny, because we're going to say, well, if we're sick, if we're dealing with discomfort, if we're dealing with some kind of disease or disorder, it requires assistance. You're right, it does. But healing does not take place in the need to control. Healing takes place with the need to be in the flow. Let me say that again. Healing does not take place with the need to control. Healing takes place when we are in the flow. So how do we remain in alignment, right? Because that's, if I'm saying that we're in alignment with the way nature is flowing, how is that healing? Well, our awareness, our ability to pay attention to the feeling of instability. Because when we are feeling empathic and we are very sensitive to these other energies, and we may go into a form of depression, or we may go into anxiety, it's recognizing that something is unstable. Something is, off, and checking in with ourselves first and foremost as to where are we judging that. And then finding steps to actually help ground us and stabilize us. And this is where I actually have a free e-course on this that I'm happy to send to you in your email, where I give you suggestions on how to ground yourself, stabilize yourself, and celebrate yourself, and begin to honor that uniqueness. And that's really why I'm here, is to introduce you to that, because I feel it's time that we celebrate our unique qualities. I think it's time we celebrate our alignment with flow and work with it. We have that ability. That is the one grace that we've been given is to understand that while everything is elevating and escalating and becoming hypersensitive, that we have the ability to help it plug back in and soothe. Because what ultimately happens is, because even though we have this level of awareness, we also have the ability to think. And unfortunately, as a human being, our thinking outweighs our awareness. And so my proposal is, can we remain in that space of awareness and use our minds to actually benefit this flow, not outthink this flow? It's not our job to outthink it. Our job is to tap into it, recognize the instability, understand the steps that we can take to soothe and continue to flow and allow healing to take its course. Because it is possible when you get into the flow. It's not possible when you get into control. And so that's really the message I have for you today. So if you'd like to check out the e-course, please visit synergistance.com and message me or sign up for the email list. I'm going to get a link on there here ASAP to sign up for it. And now that I said that, just please click on, if you go to synergistance.com services tab, there will be a link there at the top of the page for you to sign up for empath alignment, and be looking for your emails to come into your email box. All right? Let me know if you have any questions. You guys take care. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will talk with you later.